Hello, welcome to Daily Wellbeing with Gemma. So as part of Mental Health Awareness Week, I wanted to have a little think about our thought processes and how we can perhaps reprogram or pay attention to the way we're thinking about things. Anybody who's practiced mindfulness will probably be aware of the analogy that thoughts are a little bit like clouds crossing the sky. So they're always going to be there, but they pass. And our well-being is affected really not by the cloud itself, but by how much attention we pay. If we're sat staring at it, worrying about the storm, then we can affect our own mood more than if we just kind of notice it's there and let it pass. Having said that, sometimes it can be quite hard to let thoughts pass, and sometimes we get all sorts of other thoughts pop into our head. So we might experience a sensation, find ourselves in a situation, and the way we think about that is what impacts our mood. So I want to show you a quick model that lets you analyse your thought processes and just check whether you want to reprogram anything. So if you are struggling with an uncomfortable thought, you can use the think model. And the first thing to ask yourself is this thought true? All sorts of random things pop into our heads, but we can ask ourselves, is this factual or is it opinion? And we can ask perhaps where it came from. How do we know it's true? Sometimes we can tell ourselves things like, oh, I'm rubbish at this. Is that true? Is there any evidence for that, or is that just because you're feeling down about it? Do other people think that as well? And it might be that you have to ask yourself a series of questions to get to the bottom of where that thought's come from. Next thing, is this thought helpful? So, is it going to result in action? Is it useful? Does it help your mood at all? And if you're noticing that a thought is not helpful, you might choose to try and pay attention to something else instead, or to let it pass, because actually that thought's not doing anything for me. Sometimes uncomfortable thoughts can be helpful because it might be that we're going to learn something from it, or it will motivate us to take action. So even things that are a challenge might be helpful, and so you might want to carry on with the process. Is the thought inspiring? And that's to do with whether it kind of, uplifts our mood, whether it helps us, again, maybe to take action. Not every thought will follow every part of the process, but if you find a thought that is dragging you down and it's not inspiring anything good, then that's another sign that we want to pay less attention to it, let it pass like the cloud in the sky and move on to something else. Is this thought necessary? And so some of the more challenging ones, they might be dealing with an issue. It might be something that's important. So you might find that you've got a thought that's not very inspiring, but it is necessary to your well-being because I need to think about this, I need to solve this problem in order to move on, and that will help the well-being. And lastly, is it kind? And I want you to think about this in two ways, really. Is it kind to yourself, and is it kind to others? And so we get a lot of thoughts. We have an internal critical voice, and it's there for a reason, but it's perhaps a little bit overactive, and we can let it out on other people as well. So if you're having a thought, oh, I'm rubbish at this, maybe it is true that you're not very good at that thing yet, but is it kind to be saying it to yourself and focusing? Can you reframe it in a kinder way, such as, I'm finding this challenging, but I want to keep trying? And maybe that takes the truth and makes it more kind. Sometimes kindness might be, instead of labelling somebody or yourself, asking the question, how can I help? What can I do to support this? So the main theme of this year's Mental Health Awareness Week is self-kindness. And so this really is a key one to think about, of even if you are having a difficult, that's necessary, or a challenging true thought to deal with, how can you frame it in a way that's kind so that you're more able to take it on? So I hope that's useful. It's just a way of checking yourself when you do get those thoughts that pass, and it's something just to kind of help reprogram those thoughts as well. Every time you notice one of these, See if you want to change it to anything better that helps to improve your mood. I'd love to hear some examples of little changes that you've made. Feel free to drop them in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye.